So I've said basically that you want to hit with the paddle rising and you want the paddle face vertical. So the question is how do you make that as easy as possible? Anything you make easy in pickleball or tennis is going to be easier to execute and you'll do better. So how do you make that easier to get this paddle up here with a vertical racket, vertical paddle face? There's racket face, that's what I said when I coach tennis. The way you do that is using the right grip. Now, if you're going to hit the ball here, if you want to figure out what the right grip is, you hold the paddle where you hold your paddle where you're going to hit it, right out here, paddle facing that direction, and then you reach up with your hand and grab the paddle. Now, I don't mean like torque your hand, grab the paddle, or torque your hand around this way and grab the paddle. I mean as relaxed as you can, without twisting your hand. The most relaxed position, bring it up there, like that. Now, if I come up and show you where my grip is, you'll see that the index finger's base knuckle, which is how I and a lot of people talk about grips, is on the bevel of the paddle handle that's parallel with the face. In tennis and in pickleball, you count bevels on the paddle from the edge of the paddle. So that's 1. And if you're right-handed, you go around to the right, 2, 3. Or if you're left-handed, you go the other way, 2, 3. So for a right-hander, index knuckle, base knuckle on bevel 3 for a forehand. Left-hander, it's a lefty's bevel 3 for that. Now, if you're playing tennis, you might actually end up around on bevel 4 because now they're hitting with so much topspin, the ball bounces much higher certainly than pickleball. But in pickleball, bevel 3 is the place to be. The reason I say bounce higher, so if you're bouncing higher and then you say, oh, I'm hitting the ball way up here, then when you reach for it, just really relaxed grip, and then you bring it down here, you can see that where this knuckle is on bevel 4. That's why a lot of top tennis players play with forehand with this index knuckle on bevel 4. So that's basically it. That's then when you swing, you're just really relaxed at this position. If the people you play always keep it low, you could actually say, hey, I'm going to hit the ball down here all the time. And so really where I want to be is I'm just going to relax, get a grab down here. And then you'll see that this is on bevel 2. Bevel 1, bevel 2. So if the people you play always keep it low, you never get any high bounces, you can play on bevel 2. That was the original bevel that people played on back in the early Wimbledon days when everybody played on grass. The ball doesn't bounce very high on grass, and so they hit a lot of balls that are low, and so that worked out for them. Now, backhand is different. Backhand, remember I said in the previous video that when you make contact, it's about 1.5 feet in front of your hitting shoulder. Backhand, same thing. Backhand, you're going to hit about 1.5 feet out in front of your hitting shoulder. And now, if you're hitting about this high off the ground, now I'm going to reach and grab. So where does my hand end up? My hand ends up with the index finger base knuckle on bevel 1. So what tennis pros do is they change grips between forehand and backhand. Now that's true when they're at the back line. At the baseline, they do that. They'll have time. Now if you're at the net and you're hitting at the net, then they'll go and they'll do a bevel 2, and that way they can hit forehands and backhands equally good. And particularly, people are going to be trying to hit it at their feet, and so they'll be hitting low balls, so that grip works really well for both forehand and backhand because you're hitting a low ball. And that way you can keep the racket face vertical at contact. Now you may think that you got a low ball, that you're going to want to do this stuff, or do this stuff and tilt the paddle face to get it open. Well, you can do that, but typically that pops up, especially if you're running and you swing a little hard, it'll pop it up and you're dead meat. You don't want to do that. You want to, if possible, always hit with a vertical paddle. That low to high action then will lift the ball over easily without you having to tilt it. And the advantage of that is you can actually hit a fairly brisk shot with that, even if it's a fairly low ball. The exception being if you're right at the net. If you're a foot back to the net trying to hit, yeah, you've got to do a little bit more of this. You've got to do this. But that's the exception rather than the rule in pickleball. Most of the time you're at the back line. If you come up to the net, typically you're at the non-volley line, and so if it bounces, you're going to be plenty far from the net where you can use that low to high vertical racket face to get the ball over. That's basically what I do. I hardly ever hit these. Only if it's really close to the net do I do one of these. Or if I'm running in full tilt from a baseline to try and get a dink, then I'll do this maybe if I can just barely reach it. But it's a weak shot. It's a weak shot, and it takes a lot of skill to keep from popping it up and then getting killed.